Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to stay up for like 2 hours till like 1 a.m. last night and actually do some research on the Steam Machine and find out if it's worth building your own or buying a pre-built versus just buying the Steam Machine.
That's right. Bruce braved the fires of PC Part Picker to see if we could build our own and how that stacks up. And some of the findings are pretty interesting, I guess, as Bruce found out. You can't really build a one-to-one copy of a Steam Machine, but you can get close with some trade-offs in CPU and graphics and, of course, price. But yeah, I don't know. We won't spoil our grand conclusion. We'll have to get there first. But yeah, since we're in the realm of PC now, this is the fun part. We get to pick over all of our options.
Yeah, Lawrence is right. Bear with us. There's a lot of stuff we're going to say that, specs and stuff like that. But the reason I did this is because I love doing it. I've loved doing it for years. So I'll do my best to dumb it down for people like you and Brian, who are going to have to read specs. I feel really bad for Brian. Sorry, Brian. And I'll just lay out the specs initially for the Steam Machine because we already know what that is, sort of. So the Steam Machine specs is the CPU is a semi-custom AMD Zen 4 6C12T, which actually equates to, this is where it gets a little weird. It equates to the Ryzen 5, the AMD Ryzen 5 7600X. And that CPU is actually pretty unique because it's old. It's like 2 or 3 years old. And most people aren't using it, but it's also really powerful. The Steam Machine also has a GPU, the graphics card, which is an AMD RDNA 3 28 compute units. Again, don't worry about any of that. It actually is an AMD Radeon RX 7600M. This is important. There's an RX 7600 for desktop and an RX 7600M, which is generally for laptops and things like that. People are finding out it's the M. It's the mobile version, so it's a little underpowered versus the AMD Radeon RX 7600 for desktop. Okay, that graphics card actually has 8 gigs of GDDR6 RAM. Steam Machine also has 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM. Got a 512 gig NVMe SSD, the storage, which is pretty base, not even a terabyte. And then, of course, the thing that everybody loves about the Steam Machine is a tiny little cube. It's just the smallest little guy. And that's what it's really cool about the Steam Machine. I think that's why people probably are paying what they're paying. And the base model runs at $1,049. That's the base. That's no controller, none of that. Just the PC. And everybody's like, whoo, that's expensive. I don't know, Lawrence, what do you think of that?
I mean, I think it's really expensive, but I'm also applying my value understanding of PCs from a year and a half ago. And things have been changing very quickly, and I think this is also priced to maybe account for the fact that things are going to continue changing. So we're in a new reality now, so it's tough to criticize, even though it feels like a kick in the gut, especially for something that, kind of like you were saying, has a CPU from a few gens ago, has a mobile graphics hardware, has pretty tight on RAM too, and storage. There's a reason for that. So yeah, it's tough, and I don't want to buy it already, but yeah, maybe we can find a cheaper version of it. At least that's the goal here.
Okay, Brian. So our first conclusion, should we go out and just buy a full-size gaming PC that is like the Steam Machine?
All right, well, surprisingly, you can't find pre-built full-size machines with the Ryzen 5 7600X CPU for the low Steam Machine price of $1,050. Instead, and this is really Bruce putting this together, but you are looking at around $1,300 for one of these PCs from Microless or Newegg, and they usually have significantly better graphics card than the Steam machines, so the trade-off might be worth the extra $250 and the larger size. Now, we should note there are some cheaper machines on eBay, but I don't really trust them.
I don't trust. I really didn't. When I found these machines, I don't even put them in the episode because I was like, these are like $200 to $300 cheaper than everything else I could find, and they're on eBay. So I was like, those don't count.
And there's a squirrel inside. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you can buy a pre-built full-size gaming PC that roughly equates to the Steam Machine. It's probably a little better, but it'll be a little more money. Now, the real major question I saw a lot of people asking on subreddits and in our comments, can you buy a pre-built machine like the Steam Machine that is the same size, a mini?
Yeah, that's the whole point of the Steam Machine, right? It's tiny, it's cute, it'll look good in a living room as opposed to a giant RGB monstrosity with weird Halo panels cut out of it or an anime girl on the side. Yeah, you want something understated. Kind of similar to the pre-builds, though, the full towers. These are harder to find because there aren't as many made. And also, the pre-builds that are out there don't have the exact same components that the Steam Machine managed to cram in. Might be a reason for that, too. I think they were probably looking for parts that weren't as in high competition. But yeah, the other minis we found, they're generally underpowered compared to the Steam Machine. I think because they're typically not produced for gaming. If you are able to find a comparable pre-built mini PC that compares to the Steam Machine and price and specs, we'd like to know about it because it would be fun for it to have competition at that level. I think maybe the NVIDIA RTX Mega chip that they just announced, which is weirdly on ARM instead of x64, I think that's going to lead to a bunch of pre-builts this fall that will probably compete with it in terms of price and specs. So we got this weird 6-month window here where Steam Machine is oddly like a performance price leader, kinda. In the mini pre-builts anyway.
This is yet another question I saw on subreddits in our comments. Well, just buy a gaming laptop. That's the same thing as a Steam Machine. Turns out those are not easy to find, right, Brian?
Yeah, these also don't really exist as a close point of comparison to the Steam Machine. Again, because that Ryzen 5 7600X CPU is a desktop CPU, not a mobile CPU. I'm sure we'll start to see some good benchmarks of gaming laptops versus the Steam machines, but they haven't really popped up yet. If you've seen those articles, though, please post them in the comments. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, the reason I want you guys to post those things is because I want to know. I spent a lot of time looking for them because I was like, well, maybe I could find a laptop or a pre-built mini that's the same thing. I couldn't, but maybe they exist. All right, now onto the good stuff, because this is where we actually could find a machine that was comparable to the Steam Machine at around the same price. So Lawrence, what should they do if they're going to build their own full-size gaming PC?
Yeah, this is when it gets the most PC gaming, where you come in with a question, I want a nice little cube, and someone instead says, no, build it all yourself. So that's what we're about to do. Yeah, you can try to build your own or get close to it, and we'll see where it shakes out in price. So this is us pricing out a similarly spec'd desktop PC. The CPU would be the AMD Ryzen 5 7600X. That goes for about $180 on Newegg. All these prices are going to be on Newegg for the most part. AMD Radeon RX 7600 for the GPU. That's around $280. RAM, 16 gigabytes, DDR5, that's around $200. Ouch. Storage, 512 gigabyte SSD, that's $80. Still ouch. Should be cheaper than that. But yeah, motherboard, we got some basic stuff here. ATX socket, AM5 DDR5 motherboard for $130 through Best Buy. CPU cooler we have listed for about $35. Any worries about that? Maybe not being able to carry enough heat off this CPU here? That's a pretty cheap cooler.
I was really trying to cut corners where I could here, and like some of the CPU coolers, like they would, they range from like, let's say 20 to like $100 or $150, and I was like, whoa, $150 for a CPU cooler? That's too much. I imagine that this is a machine from 2023. So it shouldn't put off too much heat unless you're really pushing it.
Just only play in the fall or winter and you'll be fine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's good. It's an older CPU, so it's probably not going to be spitting off that much heat. Yeah, accordingly, we can, I think I see what you're talking about, Bruce. We can cut some corners on some of these other parts because these parts are kind of old. Just a humble 550 watt power supply. That's around $50. And the case, $60. Okay, yeah, you found a pretty basic case, but yeah, you're looking at something that is very much a PC case. Anything with any kind of bells and whistles or any kind of aesthetic is going to run you a few more bucks. So this is us, yeah, cutting all the corners. If you add all that up, that's $1,015 compared to the Steam Machine's $1,050. So what? We saved $35 with the added benefit of putting it all together ourselves, potentially messing something up or breaking an expensive part. So welcome to PC gaming, yeah. But as Bruce noticed, if you really cut some more corners, and why wouldn't you when you're spending $1,000, right? You could get it down to like $900, $950. But still, you got to put in the work yourself and hopefully find a good YouTube tutorial to walk you through it.
That was the Google Shopping was my friend last night. I basically just put into Google Shopping and I was like, oh, I found a case for 60. Well, 20. I was like, well, okay, I can spend $20 on a case. Also, just to shout out Newegg, because they have a really fantastic AI tool, which by the way, I hate AI, but this AI tool is actually really great for exactly what I wanted. You plug in the Steam Machine specs, or really any specs, and then you get to see what price you can get for like a full-size gaming desktop, or even a micro, if you wanted to put together a micro ATX PC at those Steam Machine specs. Newegg's going to make you pay a little more. Usually the components are like almost exactly retail, but the performance should be a little better than a Steam machine. Either way, that AI tool is really cool. And if you're really curious about how I did this, this is a really interesting way to do it on Newegg. All right, and we finally come to the money shot, because this truly is the actual machine that you would build if you wanted to build almost exactly a Steam machine. Same form factor, almost exactly the same parts. So Brian, tell them how it went down. Tell them if we saved any money.
All right, so here we go. Now, when it comes to building your own Mini, Digital Foundry posted this awesome article where they built 4 different versions of the Steam machine, starting with the budget machine and going all the way up to an NVIDIA GPU dual booter. Now, for the sake of time, I'll convert their compact version of the Mini ITX to US dollars and see how much we come up with. All right, so here we go. Here's the money shot. No fluffer needed on my part. So for the CPU, we're going to use the AMD Ryzen 5 7500F. That's $118 on Newegg. For the CPU cooler, we've got the Thermalright Assassin King SE for $47 on Newegg. Motherboard, you're looking at the Gigabyte B650i AX Mini ITX AM5 for $220 on Newegg. Memory, Patriot Viper Venom Expo, 16 gigabytes of DDR5 6000 for $188. Storage, Silicon Power P34A60, that's 512 gigs, $103 on Newegg. Your video card, the Gigabyte Gaming OC Radeon RX 9060 XT, that's 8 gigs for $330 on Best Buy. And finally, the case, the all-important case, the Fractal Design Node 304 Mini ITX Tower for $110 on Newegg. And actually, last but not least, don't forget the power supply. You're looking at a 550 watter for $53 on Central Computers. And the total comes up to basically about the same as the Steam machine, $1,169. But important to note, some of these components are going to outclass the Steam machine by quite a bit.
Yeah, that's right. So that 9060, I think that's that Radeon RX 9060 is a really good video card, and it's much better than the 7600M or the RX 7600M that Steam machine has. So you really are going to, the extra $100 you pay on top of this form factor for the tiny little mini PC that you built yourself, like Lawrence said, which by the way is not easy to do, especially a mini, is going to be much faster than a Steam machine. But you basically built a Steam machine. It's just, it took a lot of work and you had to do a lot of shopping. So our conclusion here at Inside Games, after doing all this research, is really that the Steam machine actually is a pretty solid PC at a reasonable price. This is something I did not expect to find after I'd done this research. But that is only if you're in the market for buying a pre-built mini gaming PC. Now the keywords here, mini and pre-built, like both of them. It has to be both of them if you want the Steam machine, because it's a machine from about 3 years ago. Once you start shopping for pre-built full-size gaming PCs, or just building your own PC of any size, mini or full-size, you can usually get away with a better machine or a cheaper price, or both. Truly, you could probably find it for both. If you built your own full-size, you're going to get better performance from a machine you're going to get better performance than a Steam machine. So that's really the conclusion. Steam machine's a great PC, but build your own. I know nobody wants to hear that because it's hard, but it really boils down to that. And I'm actually kind of surprised at how close the Steam machine's components prices were versus just shopping on your own.
Yeah, I guess we have to admit, Valve did everything they could to try to keep this thing reasonable, but unfortunately we live in unreasonable times. I guess the really unfortunate thing is this still pushes the Steam machine well outside of whatever Venn diagram overlap it was supposed to sit inside. If you want a pre-built, why would you ever buy the Steam machine over a PlayStation? You know, if that's the experience you're going for, I drop it on my shelf, I plug it in, and I play games. At least through interface, the PC ecosystem's getting there. I guess Xbox, the Helix console, their next one will be another tiptoe in this direction. But God, this is not comforting for the expectation of price there. I still think that, for me at least, for all the things the Steam Machine does, you can get there cheaper through other means, especially if you already have gaming hardware. And I've bonged this drum or gong. We'll say we bong a gong. I said this on our Steam Machine episode before, and I'll run through it again. The ROG Xbox Ally right now, if you want a PC gaming kit that's all in one, that's kind of the best option, I think. And it also does things the Steam Machine cannot, like be portable, has a controller that comes baked into it, but you can use your own. So you don't have to worry about that. It can plug into any TV if you have a USB adapter. Oh, one warning I did forget. Some of those USB HDMI converter adapter things introduce lag. So some of them are good for gaming, some are not. That's a bit of a concern there. Even though any will work, you don't want to use a really laggy thing for gaming. But anyway, if you already have any kind of PC gaming hardware and you want experience in your living room, I did see some people asking about this, which I'm very excited about. Yes, the NVIDIA Shield TV, little Android set-top box. Some people even said that their smart TV can run the Moonlight client. So you may not even need it. Just go into your TV's app list and see if Moonlight shows up. And if it does, all you do is install that. Moonlight is like your client. You install the Sunshine application on your host. It's super easy to do. Just Google Sunshine game streaming, download the application and run it. You get a little tray icon that says your server's running. And then hopefully, if you're all on wired network, it's really easy. Your client will just find it. You have to if you run it, you have to walk across the house and type in a pin on your PC so that it'll all connect. But once it does, it's pretty straightforward. I think on both regards, like with the ROG Xbox handheld, yeah, you're gonna have to adjust some settings to make it run decently on a TV, a 4K TV. But that's already true of everything on the Steam Machine. So it's you can get to all of these features that the Steam Machine purportedly does a lot cheaper depending on your situation. If you have no PC, Xbox Ally. If you do have a PC, just look into that, and I think you'll really enjoy that experience.
My conclusion is that I should have majored in something harder than communications in college, first of all. But also, I wonder if the discrepancy between this and the PS5 is so shocking, is part of the reason is because, Valve is kind of getting into a space that it doesn't have a lot of experience, and all the big console makers have been doing this. The youngest is Xbox at 25 years, so I'm guessing they're buying at scale, they're getting better prices, so they're able to just, get much better deals, whereas something like this, even if it sells, 3 million, that might be good for Valve. That would be a disaster for any of the big console makers. So I wonder if this is just, an example of that. And you're just seeing the price is so much higher because they don't have maybe the experience, maybe the scale, maybe just the economies, the supply chains that the console makers have worked out over decades.
I'm so glad you guys brought up the console versus Steam Machine comparison, because this is something that I've seen so many people say over and over and over. Steam Machine's not subsidized because you could play anything on Steam and you don't have to pay a monthly fee. Because that's what you do for a gaming console, right? They subsidize that. They know they sell it as a loss leader because they're going to get you in that PlayStation Plus ecosystem. Then you're going to have to pay, whatever, for $70 for software that they take a piece of. I understand that argument. The reason I made this video of Steam Machine versus other PCs is because I think that's where this is landing. I don't think that people are buying the Steam Machine instead of a console at $1,050. I really don't. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe I could be totally wrong. But it really doesn't feel like that. It really feels like if you're in a console camp, you're going to buy a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. And they're faster, well, then I'll just buy the Xbox, right? But if you're a PC head like I am and Lawrence, then we're probably going to look into why we would buy this in the first place. And then we start going well, do we really need a mini PC in our living room? I don't know. This is the problem with the Steam Machine, and it's too bad because I really do think it's a good machine. But versus console, it kind of doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, one of the virtues of PC gaming as well is that every PC part you buy is kind of an investment, and you don't have to replace the whole kit at once to get these incremental buffs in performance. And especially when you start to, with the way I do it with cloud or with over the network streaming, I only have to upgrade one thing in my house, and then I get to enjoy that benefit on every screen that I've got. And if you upgrade the video card, you can sell the old one, the parts come in and out. Not really true of a Steam machine. It's kind of gated by its custom build, which gives it that wonderful form factor and starts to put it in the like console ease of use territory, but then it's also not because it's so underpowered, it's overpriced. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. And yeah, to what Brian was saying, I think one thing you can see from PlayStation especially is the experience they have in not only, yes, negotiating deals and prices with manufacturers and having leverage there, but also I think knowing in advance how to architect their consoles so that they will use cheaper parts over the long run. I think it's pretty telling. I mean, I guess we have the PS5 Pro, but even PlayStation would often do mid-generation refreshes and re-engineer their consoles and boards to use even cheaper parts or widely available parts or more reliable parts. Like everybody wins, really. It's interesting that hasn't happened with the PS5. I think the AI data center boom's part of that. I think it was also just really well made to begin with as a business product. They were able to engineer a lot of performance out of relatively cheap and available parts. Maybe not so much with Series X, and for sure not the case with the Steam machine. I don't think that's Valve's lack of engineering know-how, but I do think PlayStation has been through this cycle many times at this point. They're very good at knowing how to run the hardware side of the business top to bottom. And I can really see that through the engineering of their machines that they put out. Meanwhile, Valve designed a really cool thing, but it is sort of like variants of off-the-shelf PC hardware that's been snapped in half and folded and crammed together. Granted, most consoles are turning into that anyway, so there's a convergence going on. But yeah, I think you can see the divergence in approach there too.
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen, for humoring me on this video and helping me out, because I know there's a lot of specs, and also for you watching. If you got to the end of this video, I appreciate it. Because there's just a lot of random questions around the Steam machine right now. Like a lot of people are going, why? And I think now I know why they built it, but I don't know that it creates its own market. Which is maybe not what Valve was going for. Who knows? Thank you very much for watching the video, though. We appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you want more Steam machine coverage and lots more. There's going to be GTA 6 coverage coming up soon as well. And we have a Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, we can make more content just like this if you do that as well. And Lawrence will post some sort of, I'm sure, a PC meme at some point.
Oh, yeah. I've already got one in mind. Very large walrusy man in his underwear, stooped over a PC with a screwdriver in his hand. It's good stuff. Let me see if I can find it. We'll see. I don't want to overpromise anything. Pretty classic internet picture, though.
That's how I feel every day.